Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation on the CLI-MIC Pedagogical Plan. In this video, I'll be walking you through the second focus that is explained in the Pedagogical Plan, the focus on scenarios. The term scenario, in this case, refers to a key element in comics in which climate change manifests itself. Scenarios are not only related to, for example, the advent of a new era called the Anthropocene, but also the socio-cultural experience of different people in different settings. How can the scenarios be approached? Before we give you some options to answer this question, it is important to clarify that the narrative universe of a comic is formed by different scenarios. These scenarios are conventionally inhabited by the characters who are also another central element of the architecture of a comic. With this in mind, we will explain that the pedagogical plan proposes 4 groups of possible scenarios that could be identified in a comic: the worlds of fiction, the worlds of referential discourse, global realities, and local realities. Let us begin with the worlds of fiction. 2 classic models of worlds of fiction, also called story world, presented in comics are, for example, utopia and dystopia, which represent opposing ideas. The Oxford English Dictionary defines the concept utopia as an imagined or hypothetical place, system, or state of experience in which everything is perfect, while dystopia is explained as an imaginary place or condition in which everything is as bad as possible. Dystopian scenarios often depict the planet Earth or the solar system becoming uninhabitable due to various causes, such as natural disasters, human-made events, or unexpected accidents from scientific or technological activities. Typically, dystopian narratives encourage the exploration of human responsibility, the reflection on the dangers of their actions, and the struggle for survival in a specific environment. When we talk about the worlds of referential discourse, we mean scenarios created in referential comics. What sets these referential comics apart is that they develop discourses that claim to have any kind of external referentiality, that is, a certain kind of truth or veracity. Genres that are referential according to the reality they describe are, for instance, biographies or autobiographies, journalism, history, and scientific dissemination. In recent years, comics and climate change have established themselves as significant examples of referential discourse that contains truthful dialogues that can be verified. This is explained by the possibilities offered by the comic. Most of the information is encoded visually, while verbal transmission is usually clearly divided. To explain this, we will use metalanguage. These denominations are covered in the video The Most Important Terms. In the captions, we typically find a narrating voice that explains or comments on the events. Dialogue usually occurs when characters appear in the panels. A large part of the visual content of panels created in referential science comics usually integrates data in the form of statistical tables, etc. Objectivity can be achieved in a story by using other visual forms of codification of information to expose scientifically described phenomena, for example, graphics, infographics, etc. Now let's take a look at the last 2 items of the chapter, focus on scenarios: global realities and local realities. A large part of the scientific content found in graphic narratives corresponds to what is called global realities. The history of the universe and of planet Earth, as well as the role human beings have played in climate change, especially since the modern Industrial Revolution, is depicted in certain comics as a global phenomenon. In terms of responsibility, the discussion of environmental issues entails different voices speaking from different positions of power. In this case, the Western globalizing vision is predominant and is often proposed as a neutral perspective. Yet, if climate change is a global phenomenon, the perspectives can and should be multifaceted. In comics, other perspectives on the global phenomenon of climate change and how we are responsible for it are reflected at the level of local experiences, or, in other words, local realities. The title Local Realities refers to those comics that are spatially localizable in a demarcated setting, whether in a community, neighborhood, or any other kind of limited space or group. The narrative discourses of these local realities closely revolve around a concrete experience of specific characters. The negotiation of responsibility in local realities is very different from the global narratives on climate change or on the history of global pollution. Comics that depict local realities provide perspectives that are often absent in grand narratives, including voices not heard in the realm of global, international, or national political discourse. Precisely these stories function as outlines for personal narratives. They are a form of codification to express one's own experiences in a particular setting comparable to the local needs of learners. This is the end of the video about the chapter Focus on Scenarios of the Pedagogical Plan. Hopefully it was useful and made you aware of all the information and elements of analysis that the different scenarios in comics can offer. For more details on the information presented here, please check the CLI-MIC Pedagogical Plan, where you will find a more detailed explanation of these topics.